So let's look at this one. We have the first one. It says, if one does not exert oneself in youth, one will regret it in old age. Okay, more or less, in Mandarin we have a very similar expression. That means you have to work hard while you are young. This is, as you know, it's very difficult to write in Taiwanese, so we just choose the Mandarin character, and I think this is probably pretty close to the Mandarin way of writing, except this Chen Yang. This would be Taiwanese rendition of the of what it said. So these two, 少年 means youth, young people. This is the negative marker. This is the word for think. If you don't think, or if you do not know how to, in Taiwanese, if you cannot think, or if you don't think, that means if you don't think far ahead, if you don't think of your future. This is the word to eat, remember? So after you are old, then this is how you look like. This is become. So you will not become anything. What does it mean? So if you don't work hard, if you don't think through everything while you are young, then you probably will regret in your old age. So this is pretty much the attitude of these people toward their life or toward their work. They have to work hard, and they are always working hard all their life so that they want to enjoy their old life. Unfortunately, I think our culture has changed a lot. The older people are no longer in such happy state anymore, okay? Because of, I hate to say it, but this is a trend, or maybe globalization, or whatever. Nuclear families usually are just young couple with their children. They don't necessarily live with their parents. So for the old age, for the old people who used to enjoy living with their children or their grandchildren, is now not that common anymore in Taiwan. Okay. And another thing about our proverbs is to stress the importance of neighbors. They say you can spend 1,000 gold to buy a house, but you might have to spend 10 times of that to buy a good neighborhood. So what does it mean? It means good companions have good influence, while bad ones have bad influence or whatever. Or one who mix with, so this is the more Chinese rendition of that. That means you are affected by people you are with, or you will be influenced by people living next to you. And if you have read the Chinese story, you know there was once a very wise mother who moved 3 times in order to give the children a good neighborhood to grow up. So this is also the concept in Taiwanese Southern Min. We really value the importance of being with the right people so that you won't be affected. You won't be contaminated in a way. Okay? Also, we have this expression saying, if you eat too fast, you may just break your ball. Okay? So haste makes waste. This is similar to Western kind of thinking. And this is to give instruction on how you should be prudent all the times, even though you are a very intelligent, very wise person. It says even the wise are not always free from error. But instead of saying things in such a solemn way, we say even the monkey can sometimes fall down from the tree. Okay, so you can see this is metaphor. We don't use something like Homer, something like wise man. We use something very vivid in order for you to understand what we really want to say. So it's very commonplace and friendly in a way. Okay, and this is also another way to give you advice on how to behave we say the ocean is so wide, but even with such a wide ocean, the boats would sometimes encounter with each other. What does it mean? The enemies often cross each other's path, or the road is narrow for enemy. That means, in our way of behavior, we believe that you should always give room to others, even though you have the right, or even though you think you are right and the other person is wrong. Just don't push that person to the corner. Leave some space, because the road may be so narrow. One day or the other, you may just bump into that person, and you may have to take the consequence. Okay? Is this similar to any of your belief that I saw some people nodding your head? Dorothy, that's what your parents tell you, or that's what you want to do yourself?
I think I've heard it said before, but like you don't know when you're going to need someone.
Oh, okay. You don't know when you.
Kind of selfish still.
No, it's not selfish. It's true. The older I get, the more I realize that it's true. We have all been through the stages of being young. When we were young, you were not experienced, you were not mature, and you may be, mistreated by your supervisor, by your superiors, but you just never know, okay? I'm not telling you that you need to revenge when you're getting old or when you are in power, but it's true. When people give you room, you tend to leave that room for other people as well, okay? That's how I think I have, I agree with this, and that's in fact what I'm practicing, okay? And on marriage, okay, this is interesting. The meaning is if you are marrying a bad wife, that's a ordeal of a lifetime. It's a lifetime ordeal. So one should consider carefully before making a decision. But actually, this is more on marriage. But instead of talking about marriage, or instead of talking about marrying, you just say, you use a parallel comparison, analogy. They say if you are working on a farm that is not good enough, or a paddy field that's not good enough, then you can only hope for the next year to have good harvest. But if you marry a bad woman, then you have to stick with that person whole life long. What does this say to you about the traditional Taiwanese culture? Do you encourage divorcing? No. You marry that person, you stick with that person for the rest of your life. You say, oh, horrible, terrible, how could that be? But that was the traditional Chinese way of thinking. So we have, in Mandarin, we have an expression, say, if you marry a chicken, then you go the chicken way. If you marry a dog, you go the dog way. That was a literal translation. 嫁鸡随鸡, 嫁 is to marry, right? For a woman to marry a man. If you marry a chicken, 鸡, chicken, then 随, you just follow the chicken way, okay? Which means marriage, long time ago, is a lifetime commitment. Once you make a decision to marry somebody, you stick with that somebody for the rest of your life. But look at Taiwan nowadays. We have, if not the highest, it will be the second highest rate of divorce in Taiwan. And that's sad. I just don't know. It's a commitment. And of course, if the commitment is not a good one, well, you can have a second choice, second opinion. But sometimes you just don't take it too liberally, because if you are given too many options, sometimes you cannot do anything well. Same thing with studying, right? You are not given any options. Your option is to give me 4 mini assignments. So you will push yourself to give me 4 assignments. Are you going to drop the course because you have too much to do? Okay, that's the same thing, I think. Okay, maybe not a very good analogy, but that's the way we would abide by. Okay. the one before. Okay, that's also on marriage. And we have this saying too. We say, if you are afraid of your wife, then you are a real man. If you will listen to your wife, then the wealth and the social status would come to you naturally. The literature, the translation probably is too good. Say, harmony in the family is the basis for success in any undertaking. But actually, the wording is saying that you have to listen to your wife. If you listen to your wife, then you have harmony at home, right? Okay, so that's what we believe in also. This is another Proverbs about food, about eating. This is not actually, the rumors kill people. I don't think it's that proper. But, it's given in some of the resources. But I don't think it's proper. This character, if you recognize, this is a character for mouth. It says the mouth is the bottomless abyss. What does that mean? That means you can eat a lot because whatever, you can take in a lot of food. You can take in expensive food. You can take in a lot of food to have an unlimited desire for more. That's not really true. Usually we use this expression to mean that, Taiwanese people, the society in Taiwan is not such a affluent or such a rich society a long time ago. So actually the food is very precious. You cannot eat to your heart's content. So usually the parents would warn against the children, just eat enough to support, to live by. You don't have to eat until your heart, until heart's content. So that's why we have this expression. But nowadays, they probably extend it to mean something else, which is not the meaning I would usually use for this expression. So this also reflects the social situation of Taiwan for a long time. That means, we have always been not such an affluent society 40-some years ago. And people were living in a very poor fashion. That's why food becomes very precious. And this is another thing about food. And this is interesting. It just says one should balance his life. But instead of saying one should balance his life, the proverb says, in a meal, if you eat fish, if you eat meat, you should still have vegetables to go with your meal. That means you should have everything. Why? Somebody doesn't eat vegetables. What happened? Huh? Yeah? Yeah. Okay. So you should have a balanced diet. But that's why this is just the literal meaning. The metaphorical meaning is you should have everything. You should get a balanced life. Okay? So exactly to the right degree. On being proper, we also have this expression. It says to leave oneself a way out. So whatever you do, you leave a way out, to leave a way open for the future. This is similar to the ocean one. That's, even though the ocean is very wide, you would always encounter, except that this probably is in a more positive sense. The other one is probably a little bit negative in saying that. Okay. And this expression you probably would hear a lot if you know Taiwanese. You just say the same kind of rice raised 100 kinds of people. Say it takes all sorts to make a world. So it means even though we all eat on rice and we all grow up in this society, but there are just too many different kind of people in the society. Okay, so it means try to be broad-minded and in order to accept this variety. And the following fews will be interesting. It will tell you something about the philosophy or the belief of the Taiwanese people. They will always tell you it's human beings who are doing the things, but the God is always watching you from above. What does it mean? People live their lives, but the heaven watch. The gods are watching, so don't think you can get away with anything. Okay, so this is something that we will use to tell people be honest or be conscientious or do the things that you consider is right. Don't do it just because nobody is watching. Even though nobody is watching, the guy is watching you. So this is the kind of teaching we believe in this society. You try to warn people against doing bad things. And another thing is, even if you are so calculating, no matter how calculating you are, the heaven has the last say. Okay, the heaven has the last say. So man proposes, God disposes. This is a good translation. But literally, you see all this number, 1,000, 10,000. This is a character for counting. So you can count 1,000 times, you can count 10,000 times. But as long as the God counts, just write a stroke on your book or whatever, then all the calculating goes in vain. Okay, go down to the drain. So this is what we say. You should be better prepared, well prepared for what you want to do, but there are still some luck and fortune involved. So you can only try your best. We are using this probably also to encourage people don't get discouraged, because it's not that you did not try enough, because there are so many things, it's not totally in your hand. Okay, so that's a philosophy of life. And another way, more positive side, is this. See, this is the character for grass, and this is the character for dew. Okay, say heaven will always leave a door open. That means even a small grass, a grass like this, it will survive because it will get the dew in the morning. So all things in their being are good for something. Okay, so that's how we believe. Everybody has its worth for living in this world. Everybody is unique, and okay. So more or less, what I have just shown to you are some of the philosophy, some of the ways of living, as shown in the Taiwanese Southern Ming proverbs. And the categorization, I must admit, for example, this one, and I say it's the importance of neighborhood, that's probably very correct, true of what it says. But not everyone that I have categorized is that proper. For example, I just say I'm being proper, and the one before I also say I'm being proper. See this one, I'm being proper. And this one I also use I'm being proper. The categorization or the heading I have used over here, they are probably not that proper, not that appropriate. So one thing you can do is when you go home, you can look at this proverbs again and try to recategorize it. This could go into a mini assignment as well. Okay, you can think about what are the things that you have learned from the proverbs, what are the lessons you have been taught from these proverbs, and try to analyze the kind of ideology or mentality or the way of behavior that Taiwanese people would stick by. At least Taiwanese people 20, 30 years ago, I think we go by this kind of teaching. Okay.